Hello everyone, Lord Pasta here, and today I'm going to talk about carriers. Yes, the all-famous space carriers. Everybody always wants to talk about their battleships and their carriers. Remember back in my Space Fighters episode when I mentioned that I had 26 fighters? Well, if you think that's a lot, why don't you guess how many carriers I have? I'll give you a bit of time. Time's up. It's 39. Yes, I have a total of 39 carriers. At least unique designs of carriers. Most of my carriers are utterly useless in an actual Naval Battle Club battle because they are constructed of non-structural parts, meaning they can be destroyed with nearly anything. I haven't done a battle with an actual player in many years at this point, so many of my projects just revolve around aesthetics purely. However, I do have a few actual functional craft. For a carrier, armor in an actual battle is a necessity. The usefulness of carriers is dependent upon the usefulness of fighters. And fighters are useful in a battle when all of your other, heavier battleships have been destroyed and you need to secure dominance over a system. That being true, one would then come to the logical conclusion that all carriers must obtain the highest protection of armor. However, it's not just that simple. In a Naval Battle Club battle, you have many high part count ships in a small area. Therefore, part count and the lag caused by it can become a serious problem. And, in addition to this, armor increases part count drastically. This provides a level of challenge to a builder who is attempting to construct a vessel with both the lowest part count and the highest strength and quality in armor. However, as you've seen from my videos so far, effectiveness in battle is not necessarily the only thing that every builder is looking for, especially not me. Now, let's take a look at the actual craft involved here. This is one of my favorite builds. It was first known as the multi-carrier before I introduced these horrific standardized names for my vessels. It's really quite out of date and is easily destroyed as it is not structurally reinforced. The vessel is not noteworthy at all, and I really would include it in here if it weren't for the fact that I was so stunned by how aesthetically pleasing the vessel looked when I first constructed it. Remember when I said that I didn't just build aesthetic carriers? This is what I was talking about. This is a heavily armored carrier. However, it offers little protection in its hangar bay for the fighters that reside within it. As you can see, the I carrier has its hangar bay wide open. This is to maximize the range of different crafts that it can support within its hangar bay. In addition to a large hangar bay and extra crew quarters, this vessel also contains 2 guidable rockets that were featured in my bombers video. They are highly effective. The KSS Florus is one of my older vessels and is one of my first purely aesthetic builds. It was my first attempt at making an extremely large carrier in KSP. Now, I'd like to remind everyone that although I do use all 100% stock parts, I do use HyperEdit. Back when I constructed this vessel, I did not use HyperEdit, and yet I still believe that I was able to get this thing into orbit back in the day. Things were easier back then. Those were the good days. Again, now let's segue into one of my newer carriers. This was one of my first attempts at a functional and armored carrier, and I will have to say I am very pleased with how it's performed. It can deflect most ammunition, and even some heavy ammunition, and there aren't many crafts in anyone's fleet who can put up with that. In addition to being heavily armored and ready for use against other craft on the Naval Battle Club forums, it is also a very aesthetically pleasing craft, and overall it is one of my favorite in all of my fleet. Once again, I believe we should just oppose the useful with the absurd. Here is the ugly and absurdly large mega carrier inspired by the hardhead carrier that I showed in my first episode of Kerbal Space Program on this channel. We can see that I am not shy from pushing the game to its limit. Just check out the part count on this beast. Now, I would never attempt to use this in any sort of battle for many, many reasons, but you do have to admit, it does look rather stunning with those massive hangar bays. I just wish that I would have been able to fit some more details into here to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. You can see the inspirations from the hardhead carrier in the front half of this ship, which is in fact heavily armored. I really don't know why I did that. Maybe I had something else in mind when I started creating this craft. Eventually it turned into this behemoth that won't be going anywhere soon. Well, I guess that's it. I don't really have anything else to talk about in terms of carriers. But I will have to say that carriers and fighters are both secondary priorities to battleships and cruisers. While these crafts do offer you a strategic advantage in a battle, you should always prioritize giving your battleships and cruisers better weapons and better maneuverability, as, in my experience, which is lacking, these are the crafts that will decide your battles. Mainly, a carrier is meant to be a symbol to your enemies or competitors in the Naval Battle Club. It's meant to show your design skills. And having said all that, I think it is time that I finally say goodbye. I'll see you in the next one. Lord Pasta out.